you start with that distribution of benefits and costs. And if you align, if you have huge organization, and then the benefits is on another place than the costs. So sure, there is you need alignment to help here, but nevertheless, it is the case that the cost is here and the benefits is there. So questions would be what else you could do except make this alignment,
Well, I mean, certainly you can do things like, say, just in a general sense, a particular subsystem might have a cost target or some objective. The code can be no bigger than this or something like that.
Yes.
And then what you do is you say, I want you to carry some extra functionality and extra baggage for the benefit of some other area of the system.
Yes.
And then you say, okay, I'm going to modify your target, your code target, to relieve you of any of the extra code you have to add in order to serve this other person. So basically, you don't want that person to experience the work and the other person to experience the benefit. So what you need to do is you have to find some way of neutralizing the effect of the work. And it might be like, well, we're asking you to do something for another area of the system. We need to give you an extra sprint to do it.
What we do very often, just a question if you believe it helps, what we do very often is if you're moving from these component teams where you just have technical components to cross-functional teams, right? And then you have the chance to say, in one PI, the help is A helps B, but in another PI, maybe B has to help E. So you could argument what could be a solution to have a global optimization for all of us, long term, and then move maybe this win-lose situations easier if you have cross-functionality.
I would start, and I think starting with doing it informally is a pretty good approach. I mean, like when I would work at McKinsey and I would share consultants with another team and things like that, it was all arranged informally. I said, I've got a review coming up with my client next in 2 weeks. I'm going to need a lot of time from this person I'm sharing with you. But the week after, I'm not going to need any of that person's time. Can you arrange your work so that you use them that week and I use them that week? And it was all done. There were no exchange of money or anything like that. And
absolutely.
Things like that.
And that makes totally sense if you look for, say, from my point of view, because the teams arrange that to each other. It's not a management which needs then an hourly payment or some administration for that, but the teams do that. They say, okay, maybe if there is a dependency, a small one, just shift. There's cake and coffee, just move the person for 2 days in another team, help us most, right?
So you're using just a social system to do it without having any complexity of a complicated management system.
Great. And
I think there's no reason, there's no reason not to do that. The question is then, though, sometimes you could reach a scale at with which a social system is incapable of doing that. It's like, an interesting example is sort of like before we had governments providing welfare for people in countries, it used to be the church would provide the welfare, the local church. And all the people would go to the same church. And if somebody needed food, they knew the difference between somebody who needed food because they were sick and somebody who needed food because they were lazy, because they were so intimately in contact with another. So just that social knowledge ensured that only deserving people got welfare.
That's cool. The system is the church, let's say it that way, but it is localized. It's a localized decision because it's my local church in my
and there was
city, village.
Transparency of the information in that local domain. Then we moved to the point where the government was doing it. It was somebody back in Washington who was totally disconnected.
Come to that point.
And then you started getting all of these problems of people who didn't deserve it got it, people who deserved it weren't getting it. And
so that leads a little bit to the culture in the U.S. where they say no, let it local, let us help local and not have a huge government which is responsible for that and pay more taxes or things like this, right?
Because we actually have a pretty strong legacy of people are capable of feeling empathy for their community and taking care of their community.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So coming from safe to the nice things of politics, let's say it that way. Yeah. So, okay, I would like to have another question, if you have a bit of time.
Sure.
So, I have one learning from today, what I not was faced before.
But you heard me last year, too.
Yes, sure, but I not recognized that learning the very first time. Okay. So there's always sender receiver.
But I might not have talked about it last time either.
So that's another good reason for that. Yeah. No, what you talk about a little bit is if you want to delegate, right? If you want to do it, I'm not so much a theory guy. I just want to practice, right? If you want to delegate, then there is a very, very nice thing which helps much because if you have small batch sizes, it not only reduces the risk because you see the problems earlier, but it also gives you much better the chance to delegate.
Yeah.
Because you have...
I didn't emphasize that last year.
That's a reason why I hear it.
Didn't hear it.
I love it. I mean, I found it very, very helpful because, it's very often a combination of principles.
Yeah.
Which help
you. Small batch size is actually so much the underlying root of so many things that make this stuff work. But certainly one of the aspects of small batch size is by making the chunk of work smaller. Yeah. You have reduced the number of failure modes. There's less chance that it is intrinsically less risky. Yeah. So the probability of failure is lower. Yeah. The consequences of failure is lower because it's a smaller chunk and things like that. And then the ability to detect the failure is earlier because it takes you less time to do a small batch of work and things like that. The learning process accelerates because people get a chance to do 10 small things instead of one big thing. Yeah. And so there's a lot of really nice things about batch size that are compatible with pushing control lower.
Absolutely. I mean, I make that for learning faster, but I not got this small gap to say, sure, and then it's even easier to delegate. Right? Because you as a manager can say, come on, I give you small batch sizes. Yeah. You have my trust. Right, you will make it, and I will help you if there's any problem. But just try it, do it, and if you need 3 tries to learn it, do it. Yeah, fail, right? Fail fast, but fail.
And so whenever I would work with a new consultant, probably whenever you worked with a new consultant, the first day you would say, "I want you to do 1 day of work and show me what you got done." And they said, "Wow, that's really good. You didn't do anything stupid and things like that. Why don't we speak again in 3 days?" Yeah. And then, wow, that was really good. That's better than I would have done. Why don't we speak 2 weeks from now?
Okay.
But what you do is you essentially probe the performance with small batches, low risk batches, and things like that. Yeah. And then you adjust based on the information.
That's what we also do. We have more intensive consulting at the beginning, and then we let them give them more and more time, and
because so For each thing they do, you're changing the conditional probability that the thing is going to blow up.
Okay, yes.
And after a couple of pieces of evidence, you start getting confidence that this person is not going to do anything stupid or dangerous.
Okay, great learning for us in Europe. Oh, we are in Europe today, right? So let's make a closing bracket. So we met at the SAFE Summit in Europe, and you give a talk regarding to delegation.
Yeah, the leadership challenge of decentralized control.
Ah, right.
And in particular, I focused on not pure decentralization as much as how do you get aligned decentralization.
Okay, that's a big difference.
Just throwing stuff out to the periphery and things like that is a different problem than saying, how do I keep everything aligned when I do that?
Yes, sure. Yeah, but that is also the basics. If you have to scaling agile, you have it's all about aligning, right?
Yeah.
Because if one team optimizes their process and another team optimizes, and they walk in different directions, and they have to work on the same, I don't know, submarine, or they have to work on the same product, then you need to have a certain alignment, right?
Yeah.
Great. So thank you very, very much for that small talk, and hope you fly back very nicely to the UK first and then
Das
US.
freut mich.
Ja, mich auch. Dankeschön. Okay, danke. Gerne wieder.